Hey guys, my name's Ash Garcia. I'm the actual systems librarian, but I do a lot of the web and virtual stuff for our library. So what I'm going to show you is basically all the research opportunities and all the things we can do for you in the library that you can get online. And this is kind of like if you were there in the library, I would kind of go through some of this with you. Uh, but in this case, I'm going to show you specifically what you can do to the computer and how you can especially get help if you need to, um, and through going through us. So, like I said, part of it, I'm going to show you how to get to the library webpage, how to request help like through email or use our chat. Then I'm going to show you different services we have available to you. And then kind of quickly go just show you some of our different databases. Um, I won't go too much into that just because it's almost like a separate different thing. I didn't want to overwhelm you all because it is a lot of information. And then we'll go from there. And any questions and things like that, I'm happy to answer. So I'm going to share page to show you. Okay. So what you should be seeing is the main CTC webpage. Um, and basic way to get to library. So for here, you have academics and then library. Once you start getting more kind of used to coming to the library webpage, some things or the most frequent items will be right here. So like databases, of course, ask a librarian events. But to go to the whole library webpage, you go right here for more resources. And you can see this. Stay connected with us, for example. You're going to go and tweet, see us on Twitter or Facebook, and it'll give you information about what's coming up for the library, what we're doing, better ways to help you. Like if you have comments, you have suggestions, let us know. That's what we're here for. Um, Back up here, see these different boxes. Catalog. Now that's to find everything. So sometimes you're going to be able to find books. You're going to be able to find articles, uh, ebooks as well. Um, Things like that. To your actual library account will be on there, but that's only like, for example, if you have books out. Databases, well, I've said once you familiarize yourself with the different databases, you'll have particular ones you'll go to, and you can go directly to them and get what you need. Ask a librarian. That's where you're going to be asking any questions you might have, any help you may need. As well, for example, if say a database is down, let us know. We'll get to it as quick as we can. And right now, a lot of the world, a lot of the colleges have a lot of people on the different databases, and so they've expanded and they're making them easier to get onto. But if there is a problem, let us know. We can contact with that particular database and let them know so we can get back to where we need to go to. So let me show you some of the things right here. These library resources. There's, like I said, one most important thing especially if you're new and you're not used to all this, that can be a bit overwhelming. Ask a librarian. So when you click on Ask a Librarian, what it does is it's going to basically show you a little field, and it's going to give you a place to fill in any information you need to ask us a question. And that's what it is. Like, how do I find this? I can't find a particular um, I can't find a particular resource. When are you open? When are your hours going to be? When are your virtual hours in this case? So those are the type of things, any question you have, just let us know. Research paper review. That's the second thing. It's really, really important. And it's really, really good for new students, especially if you're not quite comfortable when you're submitting papers. What it is, research paper review, you can send us your paper and we will look it over. Now, again, your instructor gives you the grade, but we'll give you suggestions on how to make it better. We will check your citations, see if there's any suggestions we can make for that. We will do your report on, for example, grammar. We'll check your grammar. We'll even do things like, does it make sense? If what you're talking about here, while your grammar may be really great, what the actual substance of the paper may not make much sense as to what you're trying to accomplish as far as your project. And we'll give you that feedback. It's up to you to use it or not, but we will do our best to try to help you as far as that goes. Our only suggestions as far as that is when you're submitting, please try to make it the final draft of your paper, so we have an overall idea of what you've done and what you've finished, rather. I'll try to make it in Word. If you can't do it in Word, I will try to work out something for you. With Word, we put little comments in the review section of Word, so that we can give you feedback, and so that your paper will reflect that. A lot of times, we'll give you a lot of suggestions, and we'll also tell you, for example, if you're having trouble, like say with comments, here's a website, or here's a site on their own where you can go in and fix those particular problems you're having. That way, instead of keep on doing the same problems, you can understand why it's a problem and fix it. Again, we'll go over your citations. If you're having trouble with citations, we'll give you suggestions of where to how to fix it or what to do with it. And then, of course, that's what we'll send it back to you, and you do the corrections you need to do. And that way you'll be ready to go. Over here, we have these research study guides. Let's see, research study guides. So the research study guides are going to give you a long list of all academic subjects that we teach in the class, in our different classes. What it will do, each research study guide will give you a list of everything you need for that particular subject. It will give you a list of recommended books. It will give you links to our databases that are for that particular subject. It'll give you even, like, for example, website recommendations for that particular subject. For example, a lot of times you have instructors that will say, you can't go to, you shouldn't use a lot of websites. And that's true, because sometimes it's difficult to determine the authority of a website, meaning how good is it? Who wrote it? Who did it? But what the librarians do is go to these websites and try to find authoritative, very good sources that will help you and that are, academic for you. And that way you don't have to do a lot of searching as far as that goes, because some of it's already been done for you, as far as like websites and things like that. Now the other stuff on there, for the database links, that is just to provide you with a quick link of what particular source will be good for that particular academic subject. As like I said, especially when you're starting out, you've never done this before, or even if you have a little bit, it can be daunting. And especially in this environment where it's online, it sometimes seems almost look even more confusing. But really what it is just learning to navigate all this and learning where to go. At first, like a lot of students we work with, they are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. But then, just like anything else, like even learning to drive a car, you start getting better at it, and all of a sudden it's just old hat. You know how to do it. Just like anything else, just learning. Same with this. Once you start doing papers, for example, once you start doing research, it becomes easy. And after a while, we don't see some of our students too much anymore because they know how to do everything they need to do. We've taught them how to research, we've taught them how to find what they need, and they're good to go. And that's what we try to do for you, to make sure that you can do this on your own, that you're capable of finding all this information. So again, that's the research study guides, also public guides for library guides. Under that, video tutorial guides. Under video tutorial guides, you'll find a lot of different video tutorials, including a whole other video tutorial just using the library itself and the databases. But in particular, it's going to have, like, for example, if you're having trouble with renewal or any other type of citation style, it's going to give you a overview of the different guide or styles that are most common for you in this particular area of academics. It's going to go through how to format, how to get the information you need, things like that. So our other librarian, Margaret, has done a really good job of putting a lot of video tutorials that she's made, especially for the style guides for citation, because that can sometimes there can be a lot of information just for citation work. But we try to make it so that it's not so painful. And again, just once you start doing it, it becomes a lot easier, just like anything else. There are others as well in the videos of, like I said, just using different databases, using different sources. And some just, give it a try, see if there's something you need. Obviously, might be able to help you a little bit. Request a seminar. Actually, in this case, I just mentioned that because we do offer seminars if you to become even more familiarized with the different databases. Usually, these are requested by your instructor for the class at one time. If you do have trouble though, and you want us to go through some of the information, we can. We'll just set up a thing, just like if we actually were in a physical library. We can set up a time with you and, try to go over things with you just like you would if you'd come in and we're talking to you face to face. No big deal. That's what we're here for, and I'll help you out. And I just mentioned that because, like, for instructors as well, like I said, we can do the whole class at once if you'd like to do that. Now up here, I'm sorry, under library resources, citation resources, it's kind of like the video tutorials, but instead, what the citation resources are going to have more like forms and PDFs and like quick style guides. So everyone we know learns a little bit differently. So for example, like with the video tutorials, if you're good with video and if that helps you, great. That's what that's for. The citation resource is more print. So some people learn better, for example, when reading. We have quick style guides for MLA, for example, or APA, and they give you the basics of how to format, how to do your works cited, different examples of how to cite. For example, you can cite anything. When I talk about in my seminars, for example, I used to work at a place called the Ransom Center. The Ransom Center is a cultural museum there in Austin. And the cultural museum will have everything, so not just books, but it'll have like one of the things I mentioned is I did a chair of Sam Houston, Texas history thing, and sat in, and we had to cite it. It has to be cataloged, and all this information has to be about it. One of the other things I did one time was a Bible. It was a 10th century Bible. When you opened it up, all the letters embossed in gold, the first letters kind of glowed in the dark. And that had to be cited if you're getting something from there. So everything that you need to be cited, you can cite it, and it will give you information on how to do that. One of the things I was going to mention, like I said, is the different databases. And databases. And so what you're going to see is a listing of different databases like this one. I'm going to show you just from A to Z list. And that basically lists all our different databases. So just as you can see, there's quite a bit. But if you know, for example, that you just need something for you go to literature, for example, and it'll give you and databases for literature. But I just want to show you a few things. So let me show you on the first ones. Academic search for key. And part of that, it's going to come up with a login. And this is what I always go over in the seminars. Some people don't realize they're going to have to log in. They don't even know they have a login. But be sure to just read what it says for the login. It's not the same, for example, for Blackboard. It's going to be your CTC ID, and then follow the C, and then just again follow the instructions. And then your password is going to be your birth date with your initials. So in this case, as John Smith, date of birth, May 10th, 1978. So it's going to be capital J, capital S, May, 05, 10, 10, and then 78, 78. So that is going to be your password. So sometimes we have people that they think it's kind of like a Blackboard login. It's close, but not quite. And also, if you ever do have trouble, and if you can't log in with your login, let us know. A lot of times, it's that you sometimes have students that are not quite in the system just yet, especially if it's the first week or two. Sometimes there may be one little error, like for example, if that John Smith, May 10th, 1978, if they had made a small error and made it on May 11th, 1978, just that one digit's going to throw it out, and you won't be able to log in. So all this information comes in from the registrar's office. So we don't actually have a way of changing that, but we can direct you where to get it changed, or if there's an issue with that. So I'm going to log in. Show you some information. So one of the things, like especially with the article searches, there's going to be two boxes, for example. One is full text, and the other is scholarly. And I'll tell you why these are important. The full text, because if you don't, you're just going to possibly get a lot of citations. And while the citations are nice, they're not the actual information you need. So that can be very frustrating to get all these great citations for your paper, but then no actual information to use. So be sure you click on that. Scholarly, it's peer-reviewed journals. What that means is that these are articles by academics for other academics, professionals for other professionals. That's what you're looking for usually in the different classes you're doing. Some classes and some instructors, it's okay to get, like, for example, somebody from Newsweek or Time or Rolling Stones or something like that. It doesn't mean the article's bad or journalism's bad or anything like that. It just means that's usually not what's needed in some particular classes. But if your instructor is okay with that and it's a particular article that's going to be fine, that's cool. You don't need to use it. Over here, some other things you can sort, for example, by the published date. You can even find just images if you need that, black and white, color photo, just a graph. For example, if you're trying to have a particular argument for your paper and you need more facts, graphs are always nice to show you that information to improve your paper and to improve your form. Also, for example, like when you're doing the paper, sometimes instructors only want from a certain period to a certain period, so you would limit that to right there. Now I'm just going to do one that a lot arose for Emily by William Faulkner. This is basically one of the short stories that eventually, if you haven't taken it before, is available that you can write criticism about. This is just a kind of standard thing. So I'm just going to show that and search and what it's going to look like. So you'll have various aspects of it. By the way, every one of these ones I'm going to show you has a login. And the login is for you to log in, to create an account. It's free. It's really good to do so because every database we have, when you do searches, it will remember that search. If you are going to be doing or work on something for a while, it's really nice to go back and see what you've done, save your work, and not lose anything. What it used to be like for me, for example, I was a history major. I even used these even back then, the different databases. And I remember one time thunderstorm came, big power outage, all my work was gone. Everything I had searched, all the things I had done was gone. But in this case, it'll still be there. And like, for example, this button right here, once you have a login, you can save it to your folder. You can have a folder for all different subjects. You can save all your research that you're doing. And that will save you a lot of time. Right here, PDF, full text, that's usually what you're looking for. Maybe others, I'm seeing, yeah, like HTML full text. The only difference between those two is that HTML full text is going to take you to like a web page for the same information, as opposed to PDF full text like this, where you can download it and save it. I do recommend doing that. Most of the articles you're going to be able to find 99% of the time. But just like any other company, sometimes different information goes to different companies and they lose the ability to have it. But save it, put it in your folder, download it, got it, it's yours. So that's one of the things to always look for example, and to do. Things you can do as well, you have Google Drive connected to Google Drive, save it there. You can email yourself the information, add it to your folder, and everything you have as it is. Clicking on it, it will give you the citation you need. So if you click on this, MLA, right here, it will give you the information you need to cite it. Now, I do say this with a few things to know. Make sure it actually has the information that you need. Like one time, it was just coming up. And again, it's just a script. It's getting information and pulling it from other files. It just had, like, instead of Paul A. Harris, it just had author first name, author last name. That's not going to help you very much. So be sure to actually read what it's saying here. Also, it's not in the format you need. It's all the information you need, usually, but it's not the format. So make sure it's in the right format. And you do that, again, when I mentioned earlier about our different citation information, that's where you can get the information on how to cite it correctly and how to format it correctly. There are a lot of rules and little things you have to remember, but the citation information will help you with that. And that's part of it, is to make sure that you can go in and cite the information, not just all the information correctly, but in the right format. And that's what it'll do. Also, like a link, most of these will have a permalink. So, for example, sometimes if you're in class and you need to have like an annotated bibliography, a lot of time the instructor is going to want the link, like where you got it. You know, it's just part of the process of documenting where you got information from, and that's where it's going. One of the others I was going to show you, and then I'll just show you one other for this. There's a lot of them, like I said, so that's almost a whole different seminar in this case. But our different ebooks we have available. So we have eBook Central and then the EBSCO ebook collection. Both are very big book collections as far as that goes. In our actual physical library, for example, we have about 50,000 books. As far as ebooks go, we have, I want to say about maybe 350,000, maybe 400,000. And I used to tell this, and I still, it's just gotten even more true every time. If we had in physical form, in paper form, for example, all the ebooks we have available, all the articles we have available online, you would need a library probably about, still a second story, but about the size of the campus, maybe the entire campus. That's how much information we have available to you. But thankfully, it's in electronic form in this case, otherwise we would just not be able to store it. But that is what you have available to you as a student. You have just massive amount of information that you can use. I'm going to cover the author. just want to show you different books that come up, what it looks like. Same as like with all the other sites. Create an account, save your information. You can actually have like a bookshelf on here. And it will save the books that you're looking at. You can put notes in them. You can highlight different chapters. You can go in and do that. Download a chapter, download the whole book. And what it does when you download a book or download a chapter, it stays, if I remember, it stays about 2 weeks, and then it kind of like locks up and disappears. You can't use it anymore. But you just come back and check it out again, just like any other like physical book. You can only have it for so long, but you can still go back and get it again. So no lost thing. As well, and I tend to go more depth as far as my regular seminar, but I show how to go in using the books, and I'll tell you all this. Use the index. A lot of times when you're doing college work and college papers, you don't have a lot of time. Find those keywords you need, and use the index to go to that particular page and almost like mine that book for that particular information you need, so that you can get in, get out, get back to work, and that time management is really critical in college, and that's part of it, is working smart with things like this, with that research, so that you have time to finish everything, you have time to refine, time to rewrite the paper, things like that. And that is part of it, rewriting your paper, for example. Rewriting your paper is to make it look like you didn't ever have to rewrite it at all. And that's making sure that all your citations are correct. And it happens, for example, that a citation got deleted by accident or left off, and it gives you time for all the things that will go wrong, so that you can go in and just like anything else, you can cite the book. It'll give you this review. Like I said, it's not the right format, but you will figure that out, and you will be able to put it in the correct format. You can read it online, you can share the link, that type of thing. And like I said, there's lots of different types of books in here. For example, there are different tutorial books, there's different software books, there's different books to teach you how to do different information. In fact, one of our different databases, I think it's called the Chilton database, I forgot, I'll look at a little bit. It'll actually give you all the manuals for all the different cars throughout the years, for example, and it'll give you a diagram and information on how to fix and repair different cars, things like that. If that's your thing, or that's what you'd like to do. And just like this, there's going to be a lot of ebooks on learning different subjects, learning different skills that are in here too. So give it a try when you can. Just look into it, do different searches. You might find something you're really interested just to read for fun. So that's always a good thing for that. And lastly, I'm going to show you just really quick, called Films on Demand. Films on Demand is basically academic videos. So they come from different sources, like on NPR, BBC, and it gives you, like I said, different videos that you can even use for your paper. So for example, this one, what it's going to do is give you all the different parts of the video. If you click on it, it will even give you transcript. The transcript will give you everything they said, so that you can say, if you want a direct vote, it's hard to write it really quick, they'll give it to you right here. Again, you can cite it, you can create your own profile, add to your section, share it to someone. On segments, you can actually create your own video by making different segments from all different videos and putting it together, and then making your own video from it. So for example, if you have a presentation and you want to put together a quick video, you can, let's say in this one, you can do a segment from time 48.15 to 42.2, and then clip it with some other video and put it all together, and you have it part of your presentation. You can even embed it, for example, in PowerPoint. The only thing I will say is if you do it and show it online, for example, you will need to log in like you did here, but that's it. Once you do it, it's back to being able to use it. Um, Most of our um, databases, for the most part, are subscriptions, meaning that we pay for. And so when you log in, that's part of the process to make sure that you're a student. Um, and so that's part of the process. Again, I think I mentioned that excited, get all the information in place. And it's just another way of helping your paper and to present all this information that you're doing. So that was the last one I was going to show you. Like, so we go through much more this in the seminar for just databases. But let me show you stuff here. And like I said, the best thing or what we really want you to know is that if you need help, come to us. We have the Ask the Librarian. I didn't quite show it on there, but there's a chat box that you can ask us through text. We're trying to make it, and we'll get there soon, so that you can come in and even just kind of talk to us, like say, in a virtual quick reference seminar where we can use. We're just trying to get the platform to use to be able to do that. But even then, we can set up a time so that we can help you out and talk to you. That's better for you. Just like I said, to remember, that's what we're here for, is to help you get through some of these, and so that you can succeed. And that's what we're here for. Okay. Thank you. I hope that was helpful for you.
Thank you, Ash. Really appreciate your help on this. We did have somebody on Facebook mention when we started that their favorite database was the Films on Demand. So thank you for sharing that.
Right, it's one of my favorites too. So I love Films on Demand. And there's so much, even though they're academic videos, if you like for example, history or English or things like that, there's even for example, plays on there of some of the short stories or poems or things like that they've performed, especially say in the BBC or NPR, and they're going to be on there. And you can even use those for some of your papers, things like that, when you're citing particular parts of it. So it's really nice, really great resource. We have so many, it's hard to pick and favorite completely, but we have just tons for it. So.
One of the main things, the other comment in question is basically when you have to write a report and you have all these style guides, sometimes they want MLA or APA or, I think there's another one, I can't remember which one. But if they're just not sure how to do the citations, how do they get help for that?
The citations, like I said, when I mentioned the video tutorials, it'll show you how to do them. And part of this is what we always experience. There's different, we have people that have trouble, for example, with in-text citation versus say the works cited. And the in-text citation is when you've just finished a sentence and that idea obviously is not yours. How do I cite it? How do I do the in-text part? But it'll show you. We have on the video guides, it'll show you how to do the in-text citation, excuse me, and how to do the works cited part. So at the end, where you list all the things you've cited in your paper. If you need help though, let us know, and we'll help you with that on how to do it. We also do. We share to a link called the Purdue Owl. Purdue Owl is a huge website on citations, and like I said, it gives you just massive information on how to do different citations. And like I said, that part can be daunting because if you've never done it before, it's very unfamiliar, and it's really you're lost. And that was me when I started off too. I started off actually in San Antonio College, so a community college, and I started off there too. So I remember being really lost. But you know what? It was a librarian that actually helped. And of course, my English teachers, they were great. I'll never forget them. But for sometimes that extra amount of help, that extra amount of, I'm still a little bit lost, let us know. And we'll direct you to those. I think we even have like on our lib guides we mentioned earlier, the research guides. We have guides on particular ones like MLA, APA, and how to go about it. And one of the things I forgot to mention is don't feel bad if you don't know what to do or if you're lost. That's part of the process. That's part of being you. If you already knew how to do this, you wouldn't be you. So part of this is learning, and part of that is asking for help, and that's what we'll help you with. So don't be afraid. Don't be like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Like, well, yeah, of course you don't. You've never done it before. So we'll go through it, and we'll try our best to help you understand. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that that's the most important part, is to let students realize that they have resources and people that are willing to help. If they need something, they need to write some sort of paper, how to do citations, how to do the research for it, all of that, they actually have a place to go and somebody to talk to. And sometimes I think they don't realize that there is actually people that are willing to help them with all of that. And virtually. And it's always been virtual. It's always been an option that's virtual. It's not just now.
Right. Yeah, we've done virtual stuff. Like I've actually done virtual stuff myself, for example, for about past 14 years. We as a library, maybe not quite that long, but very, very long time. So this is old hat for us. This is our territory too. We've been here a long time. We serve people all around the world. We obviously can't physically be there for someone, say, for example, in Korea or Germany or wherever. So we've always had this ability to help people remotely. And for us, that's just our normal environment. And so we're very used to being able to help people this way. And again, you need help that way, we're here for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ash. Thank you for all the information. I think this is really great. I hope a lot of people will actually take advantage of the opportunity and speak to the librarians and actually ask questions, and not just now, but anytime, not just at CTC, anywhere. I don't know that people realize how much help a librarian can be, no matter what, even from anything from a cookbook to actually doing your research paper. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time here, Ash, and for sharing this information with everybody.
Very welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll be seeing you soon. Bye.
Bye.